Bigfoot chasing a car in the forest. Rediscover retro footage of an early Bigfoot sighting. A terrifying alien creature emerges from the depths of a cave. And Bigfoot seen hunting a car while the passenger filmed this encounter. These are just a few of the things we will look at. Stick to the end. I don't know where this footage comes from, but I have to say, it is the clearest footage of Bigfoot I have seen in a long time. The person filming seems to have caught a glimpse of the well-known Sasquatch taking a stroll through the forest. The characteristics are as we would expect. A tall, sturdy humanoid full of hair, while being able to walk normally on two legs. But I need to be skeptical as well, as I think the arms are too short compared to other, more reliable descriptions I have heard of this beast. It is known that Bigfoot would have way longer arms than a normal human. So could this footage be just someone dressed in a very well-made costume? What do you think? Whatever the origin of this video, it makes for one hell of a good story. The unsuspecting hero takes us on a point-of-view journey as he rides through the woods at dusk. Within moments he says that there are more bones than last time scattered along the trail. We catch a glimpse of some of the bones for a fleeting moment, supposedly from predators in these woods, but it seems he is familiar with this, sounding like he's been there before.
Oh god, there's even more bones than last time.
It's getting dark, so I am sure all this guy wants is to get home. He comes to a fork in the trail, and as if on cue, the almost continuous soundtrack of birds, insects, wind, and the natural world just stop. Silence. Something catches the corner of his eye. A little way up the right-hand side path. Two glowing eyes, pale corpse-like skin, withered and terrifying. He is immediately terrified and tries his best to start the bite so he can get out. This guy has set up a camera in his bedroom because he always wakes up with an unsettling feeling that someone is watching him. In the morning when he watches the recording, he sees this. A small figure can be seen bending over the bed. At first I thought that might have been his kid, but they claim he has no kid and is alone at home. So what exactly was that? An alien, a cryptid, or just a glitch of the camera? Known at the Patterson-Gimlin film, this short motion picture, captured in 1967, claims to be actual footage of Bigfoot. Shot in North Carolina, the film has seen many attempts to both authenticate or debunk it. Patterson became obsessed with the abominable snowman after reading an article in True magazine in 1959. Years later, Patterson would invest thousands of dollars in combing Sasquatch territory, much to the ridicule of skeptics around him. Armed with a deep desire to be the first to provide scientific evidence that the creature really existed. Eventually, he did, but many are skeptical about the authenticity of the footage, which is in part related to differing accounts from both Patterson and his guide Gimlin on what exactly went down on the day they saw Bigfoot. However, Patterson maintained the footage was real up until his death. This version is the stabilized version, giving us a clearer view, and we can say that the Sasquatch in Patterson's film has all the traits we've come to know of the creature: the almost cone-shaped head, the dark fur, and the statuesque height. The creature slows its pace and looks at the camera before moving off into the woods. Nowadays, with advances in technology and the ability to record high-quality videos on cell phone cameras, hardly any of the recent footage available provides as clear a shot of Bigfoot as this one does. Is that because it's a hoax? Or has the creature just become more reclusive and camera shy? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. For some reason, this couple has installed a camera in their bedroom, and we can immediately see something strange. the door opening on its own, but also something scurrying across the floor. The guy's hands start to lift as if manipulated by some force. I am not sure if this is all faked, but if it's not, I can't imagine how someone would not feel this and awake. Is this the work of a playful spirit or just a man stretching in his sleep? You be the judge. The poster of the video claims that a woman bringing in groceries was disturbed by her daughter pointing out a creepy figure in the distance. The dog, catching sight of the human-shaped silhouette, begins to growl before running off to get a closer look. But then he stops in his tracks, unwilling to venture further. Whatever it is, it doesn't move. It just stands there watching like a psychopath. Is it human? Something else? A trick of light and the position of a branch? Either way, at no point does she make any attempt to get her dog or herself inside to safety. A street camera captures this compelling footage of a ghostly figure jaywalking. The black shadow is clearly seen crossing the street in a parking lot despite an oncoming car. The vehicle collides with the entity, who disappears from view. The concerned driver immediately stops the car to see where whatever he hit went. There is nothing there. Whatever it was simply vanishes from sight. There isn't too much information provided with the original video, or where it took place, which might be one way of piecing together the story behind what happened here. This person is stumbling through the forest at night. It is unclear why this would ever be a good idea. As soon as the night turns pitch black, they spot something terrifying. A creepy, pale, and corpse-like humanoid appears to be hunched over something. It lets out a weird cry, kind of like a baby, if a baby were a grown man. Or a goat with sore throat. I'm intrigued that the camera person didn't turn to run at this point. In numerous videos, this particular type of cryptid is often captured still or moving very slowly. Is it something to fear, or is it afraid of us? And how did the cameraman get out of this situation? A playful entity resembling a figure of light shimmies down a street lamp, dances the running man, and then seems to hopscotch its way to the right of the screen. Folklore often speaks of a Willow the Wisp, which appears as an atmospheric ghost light often seen by travelers at night, and usually located near bogs and marshes. Not, as in this instance, at the local parking lot. Known by a variety of names, the Hinkypunks being another one of them, it is said to mislead travelers by resembling a flickering lamp or lantern. In urban legends, folklore, and superstition, they are typically believed to be ghosts, fairies, or elemental spirits. In literature, a Willow the Wisp metaphorically refers to a hope, or a goal that leads one on but is impossible to reach, or it is something one finds strange or sinister. Modern science ascribes the phenomenon to bioluminescence caused by oxidation of organic decay. Either way, it is quite magical. A curious visitor peeps in at the window. I've watched this video a few times, and with each shift in focus, another probability emerges. Is it a little gray man on his first abduction mission, or is it a black cat? The enhanced replay with more light seems to reveal a hairy humanoid creature covered in fur or leaves, with two glowing eyes that remains all but camouflaged in the dark. Let us know what you see. Wrong answers only. In the following footage, a guy describes seeing an unidentifiable creature near his fence. While recording, he captures an eerie scream emanating from the forest just beyond his property. The sound is quite terrifying, but is closely followed by a kind of bellow, which could be an animal in pain or the sound of deer or elk during rutting season.
And did you hear that?
I'm becoming increasingly convinced that living near the woods is a bad idea.
Oh.
This person is filming this through a window because they saw something terrifying moving slowly across their street. In a grainy footage, we can see them filming a small, white, slow-moving thing. It has the customary pale skin and elongated neck that has become common with these sightings. But unlike others, the torso is short and the creature is bipedal. This one is also smaller and shorter than others. It is clear based on the quality of the video that it has been zoomed in, and that coupled with the angle is an important clue in this puzzle. Are we merely seeing an elderly person walking in their garden from a height? If you have any theories, let us know. This video claims to capture some kind of cryptid, but if the dark, blurry, zoomed-in nature of it is anything to go by, this really could be anyone's guess. To me, it looks like they stumbled upon a badger minutes after it captured its prey, which may explain why it didn't just run off. There also appears to be distinct markings or stripes on the creature's face, which leads me to believe it's an animal. Watch closely towards the end of the video when it's had enough of the car lights in its face, and it turns to shuffle off. A distinct tail can be seen. There's a lot going on in this video. Two guys shooting the breeze while the driver motors at breakneck speed through a forest. His passenger captures the journey on video. Amongst the trees, and only for a fraction of a second as they speed by, a bipedal creature with dark fur is spotted running. Is this really a creepy stroke of luck, or an amateur filmmaker's first horror short? The dialogue itself seems pretty stylized and feels almost scripted.
It's like I got a friend, Jimmy. He's an alcoholic.
Let's watch that again in slow motion. What do you think? Is it real? It's that time of year again, when bucks gather in a show of who is the strongest to fight each other antler to antler in the hopes of securing their territory and the available females. Males need to choose their opponents wisely, not only for bragging rights, but to avoid severe injury or even death. Watching them go at it, I can only imagine this must be fighting where your weapon of choice is the end of a hat stand. The somewhat choreographed display is accompanied by a series of vocalizations, and the final stages, with their antlers locked into position, they will begin pushing each other in a display of dominance until tired out or injured. In this video, a father and his young son bond on a nature walk. They also experience a moment of terror that will scar that kid for life. We'll ignore the fact that Pops is too busy with his camera to fully pay attention to his child stomping on thin ice. Dad then hears something, and with his zoomed-in, extremely poor quality cell phone camera, runs to investigate, where he claims to have spotted a possible Sasquatch. If you watch this video enough times and stare repeatedly in the general direction of where his camera is facing, a shape will become visible. Whether this is Bigfoot, one guy's trip on opioids, or your deep desire to see the point of his terror is entirely up to you. Lots of cool things live in caves, such as bats, spiders, and blind salamanders with freakishly pale blue and pink transparent skin, as well as the occasional grizzly bear. But I have never seen such a thing. It is unclear where these caves are, which is a pity because I'd like to avoid them. The precise size of the creature is also difficult to ascertain given the angles, but it seems to compare with an alligator. But then again, who wants to stick around for photographs with that snapping at your heels? If you can identify what this is, let us know in the comments. Look, we get it. Not everyone likes media attention or a camera in their face. Especially this grumpy badger running from the paparazzi. Let me tell you something. Badgers are aggressive. They bite. They also prey upon gophers and squirrels and have been known to attack domestic animals too. Though usually not aggressive unless provoked, their ferocious teeth and sharp claws make them a formidable animal in the wild. a trail cam captures a black bear mother and her 2 cubs. They will stay with her for around 1 to 3 years, where she will teach them all about what it takes to survive in the wild. These bears are excellent swimmers, and their nails can grow as long as a blackboard eraser. A rather demure cow moose spots the camera and comes in for a closer look. These creatures prefer cold climates, and females can weigh in at a hefty 700 pounds. They are also able to kick in any direction with their front hooves. Squirrels and hares are not usually prone to hating on each other, but every now and then a squirrel with a chip on its shoulder, or possibly rabies, will step out of his lane and go for gold. Watch as this timid hare is propelled into flight when his assailant comes tearing out of the bushes. All species of deer have a range of vocalizations. Anything from barking, grunting, snorting, bleating, bellowing, or in this instance, screaming. There are 2 possible reasons for this particular vocal, which is reminiscent of Mariah Carey on her self-titled album of 1990. Either it's calling a mate or it's realized it is in terrible danger. Nighttime security footage is always fascinating because visibility is often poor, and there's often no sound, so you pretty much need to figure out what happened based entirely on what you see. Unless there's a first-hand account, this guy has been alerted to a noise. He appears armed with nothing but a flashlight. Scanning the dark, something or someone suddenly rises over the wall. It happens for only a fraction of a second, and the visibility is so poor that the figure appears as more of a shape than something with definable features. In terror, he stumbles back, falling on the floor. Notice how he's doing his utmost to ensure that the light stays on. Who or what is the shadowy intruder? A burglar? A neighbor playing a prank? Or something more sinister? The middle of who knows where. A car is parked somewhere dark and deserted. A woman speaks to something in the shadows that her flashlight is focused on. I can see you. A few glowing eyes are visible, some too far apart to be human. What are there? Animals? Pranksters in Halloween costumes? Something peers out from behind a bush, and then we see it, the familiar balloon-shaped head and those impossibly large and terrifying obsidian eyes. The strange-looking entity turns to show itself in profile. Its body in the light seems freakishly flat and one-dimensional. The footage ends as bizarrely as it started. Pity they couldn't get some kind of dialogue going. A trail camera picks up an unusual sight of a creature fumbling with the camera. Only fur from the animal can be seen. The creature had come around and spotted the camera, and perhaps out of curiosity, it tries to figure what the object is. In the process, it reveals its face, and we can see it's a bear. The bear, with its large paws and inherent wilderness, inadvertently damages the camera as it forcefully rips it off, showcasing its inability to handle delicate objects. A drone captures the following footage in Tennessee. Some very large deciduous trees are being violently shaken by something or someone. Some have suggested that it's the wind, but the area is concentrated, and so that doesn't seem likely. One possibility is that a crew of tree fellers are working down there, and the trees are being felled with ropes. But from this angle and the fleeting moments where spaces between the trees are visible, I am unable to detect any human. Felling trees of this size would also require some kind of mechanical equipment. Someone said that a tiger cat feller buncher is compact and powerful enough to uproot these trees. Presumably it too would be visible, and isn't. Some have claimed to see a large, dark figure, but only fleetingly, suggesting that what is causing the commotion is not human after all, but a Sasquatch, violently shaking the tree to prove its prowess, mark territory, or capture prey. It's a pity that whoever captured this footage didn't think to fly in closer and confirm what caused the phenomenon for once and for all. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments, We'd love to hear from you. If you want to see more interesting footage, then watch this.